Bloodbraid Elf used to be one of the most powerful cards in the modern format, but with the format becoming more and more efficient, Bloodbraid Elf lost its power, and so did JUND. But in Modern Horizons 3, there is a brand new, better Bloodbraid Elf. This card is Amped Raptor. This is a 2-mana 2/1 with first strike that says when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Then if you cast this card from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by paying any amount of energy equal to its mana value rather than paying for the cost. And when looking at our list, we have no cards that cost more than 2 mana, meaning that this is a better Bloodbraid Elf. So we're going to be trying to bring back JUND into the modern format with a new and improved Bloodbraid Elf. Just a friendly reminder before the first match starts to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We are on the draw, and certain hand is a little weak, but we'll definitely keep it. I'm gonna go turn 1 Surveillant. We will turn 1 Fetch Shock and fire off a Thoughtseize. Looks like we're up against a mono black deck here, so we will take their Bowmasters. Someone fires off a Cling, drawing a card. And they do find their land drop. Hey, we're so good at this game. We'll play out our land, Thoughtseize the opponent, take their Necrodominance, then Fetch Shock, and play out a Ragavan. Someone plays out a tapped land into a Sorn. Top deck on their Goyf, we will push the Sorn, back in with the Ragavan. We exile Swamp, and then play out our Tarmogoyf. Plays out Necrodominance, then evokes out a Grief, looking at our hand, taking a Goyf, and they draw 10, and then scoop it up? Alright, let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out Molten Collapse, Fatal Push, and a Bolt for 2 Inquisitions, and a Haywire Might. Game 2, starting hand is just too weak, so we gotta mold this. Yeah, and this looks much stronger. We'll keep putting back a Forest. So let's turn 1 Swamp into a Grief. They take our Tarmogoyf, and then scam it out. They take our Ragavan. We will Shock in a Stomping Ground, play out our Haywire Might. I'll go Swamp, tax in for 4. Top deck a Wrenn, not a bad draw. We'll fetch, Shock in our land, and then play out our Amped Raptor. We find a Bolt, so we will use it on the Grief. Sweet. Go to combat, attack in for 1. Instep opponent Surveils. They play out a Necrodominance, and they draw 10, and scoop it up there. Wow. Guess they just whiffed both times, so let's get on to the next match. We're on the play, and starting hand's a little risky, but I like keeping risky ones. We'll lead on turn 1 Fetch Shock Monkey. An opponent plays out an Auntie's Hovel. Oh man. We top deck a Bowmasters, we'll go to combat, attack in with the Ragavan, and we exile land off their top. We will play out our Amped Raptor, and we find a Bolt, so we'll fire it off on their face. Someone plays out a Cavern, naming Goblin, play out a Snoop. Another land for us, we'll fire off Bolt on the Snoop, go to combat, attacking with the team, then Fetch Shock, and play out 2 Goofs. Someone plays out a Skirk Prospector into another Cavern, into a Putrid Goblin. Top deck another Goyf, we will go to combat, attacking with the team. Wow, no blocks from the opponent. We find a Runeveldt Hornmaster off their top. We will just play out our Bowmasters now, taking out their Skirk Prospector, and then play out another Goofball. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 3 Goyfs, and I'll Spellbomb and bring in Surgical, Terminate, and 2 Inquisitions. Game 2, hand is a little too removal light, so I'm actually going to mold this. Yeah, and this hand looks fine. We will put back a Lava Spur Boots. I'm going to go turn 1 Blood Crypt into a Vial. We top deck a Goyf. We will Shock in our Blood Crypt and fire off Inquisition. And we'll take their Nightmare. I'm going to place out Surveillant, bending a Matron, playing out another Vial. Top deck another Saga, play that out into another Goyf. Opponent shocks in his Stomping Grounds, plays out a Palashkmons. Find a land, play out Verdant, go to combat, and we're just going to fire off a Bolt on the Palashkmons now. They deal 1 to us, then we will fetch, get our Surveil land. All this before damage, of course. Ooh, a Bowmasters. I actually don't think we want that. An opponent takes 4. Oh, and they have a Snoop on the end step. Of course, their top card's also a Kiki Jiki. All right. Yeah, opponent has us. We could like shuffle their top, but I don't think it's really going to matter. So let's scoop it up and get on to game 3. Game 3, we're going to take out a Surgical and bring in Pithy Needle. Game 3, starting hand looks great. Lead on turn 1 Shock into a Ragavan. Turn 1, opponent surveils a Horde Master into the yard. We top deck a Terminate. We'll go to combat, attack in for 2. Ooh, I just wanted a Snoop. Could cast that, but I think getting Goyf down is just better. Opponent plays out a Phyrexian Tower into a Horde Master. And before their instep, we will bolt the Horde Master, exile a Bogart Harbinger, draw land, we'll play it out and fetch right away. Throw in our Goyf, combat, attacking for 5, and we exile their Auntie's Hovel. One plays out a Cavern into a Skirk Prospector. Then they sacrifice their Skirk, making a red, playing out a Gumgly. Instep, we'll make a Saga token on Amped Raptor, float a mana off Saga, pick up a Pithy Needle, naming Conspicuous Snoop, I guess. Fire off a Terminate on the Grumgly. Combat, back in with the team. Exiling a Mogwar Marshal. We'll play out our Surveil land, then a land on top, play out our Amped Raptor, and get a Shaspir. It's a nice pickup. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to the next match. We are on the draw, and starting hand looks perfectly fine. What a great top deck. Opponent leads on turn 1 Scalding Tarn. We will go turn 1 Nether Goyf. Instep, they Surveil, putting a land into the yard, and they play a Reckless Impulse. Looks like we're up against a Storm deck. Another land off the top for us. We will Fetch Shock, play out a Tarmogoyf, and hope that we can clock them fast enough. Land for the opponent into a Ral, and they cast out a Metamorphose, take a damage. They play out a Ritual, not flipping Ral, into another Ritual. They resolve a Past in Flame, lands, cast a bunch of stuff out of the yard. Yeah, and they end up exiling a Wish and a Grape Shot off of a Reckless Impulse. So we will scoop it up here. Opponent has us and get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 3 Push, Molten Collapse, Haywire Might, and 2 Wrenn and 6 for 2 Inquisition, Surgical, Graphic Cage, now a Spellbomb, and 2 Damping Spheres. Starting hand looks fantastic. Lead on a Fetch Shock into a Ragavan. Ooh, Saga, huge top deck. Attack and Thrag, exiling a Reckless Impulse, and we are the aggressor in this matchup, so we're playing out Goyf and holding up Bowmasters. Opponent plays a land into a Reckless Impulse, exiling land and a Ral. In step, we'll fire off a Bowmasters. Find an Amp Drafter, go to combat, attacking with the team, exiling a land off the top. We will play out our Amp Drafter, bolt the opponent, play out Besage You, and hold up another Bowmasters. Opponent fetches, plays out a Ruby Medallion into a Manamorphose, so we will fire off our Bowmasters here. Get the opponent for 1, they draw, we get 2 more triggers. Opponent cast a Rin's Resolve, exiling 2 more cheap spells, and then they just scoop it up there. Game 3, starting hand looks great. Turn 1 land for the opponent, we top deck an Inquisition, great draw. That's shock and fire off our Inquisition. Yeah, we'll take their Ruby Medallion. Instead, they surveil a Wish into the yard. They play out a Mountain into a Reckless Impulse, exiling Mountain and a Ritual. Find a Besage You, play out a Ragavan, play out Urza Saga, and play out a Spellbomb. Opponent plays a land, fires off a Ritual, casts a Rin's Resolve, exiling a Scalding Tarn and a Passing Flames into another Impulse, exiling Wish and another land. We find another Goyf, we'll go to combat, tack in, exiling a Glimpse the Impossible, play out our Goyf, play out our Besage You, and pass. Someone plays out a land, cast a Rin's Resolve, exiling a Manamorphose and a Glimpse. They fire off Manamorphose, and they cast out a Ruby Medallion. In step, we'll make a construct, draw a land, we'll make another construct, pick up a Grafdigger's Cage, play out our Verdant, go to combat, tack in with the team, exile a land, and pass the opponent. We'll cast out a Glimpse the Impossible, exiling 3 lands. They play out a Scalding Tarn, fetch, cast out a Ritual into another Glimpse, exiling Ruby Medallion and 2 Strike It Riches, and they scoop it up. Let's get on to the next match. We are on the play, and starting hand looks great. We'll lead on turn 1 Verdant. Opponent leads on turn 1 Scalding Tarn. We top deck a Thoughtseize. We will shock in our Blood Crypt and play out a Wrenn. And this meets a Subtlety. Interesting. And we'll put Wrenn on top. Opponent shocks in the Steam Vents, and we will just try and deploy our Wrenn again. And that does meet a counterspell. Opponent shocks in a Sacred Foundry, casting out a Flage, and shooting us for 3, gaining 3. Ooh, we top deck a Ragavan. We will dash that out, hit the opponent, exiling a Subtlety, and then we will fire off a Thoughtseize. Scene only lands in hand, unfortunate. Opponent plays land, escapes out of Flage. Top deck a land, play that out, fire off our Amped Raptor. Hopefully we find a Fatal Push off this. Kind of Bowmasters, not a terrible pickup. Opponent plays out a land, attacks in with Flage, shooting our Bowmasters, and we'll jump with our army. Ooh, and then they play out a Teferi. Top deck another Bolt. We will go to combat, attack their Teferi, fire a Bolt off with their Teferi, and then play out a Haywire Might. Another land for the opponent, then they cast out a Lorn Revealed. They attack him with their Flage, killing our Haywire Might. So we're down to 5. Find another Amped Raptor. We'll fire off our Tarmogoyf, go to combat, attack in for 2. Opponent goes to combat, attacking, shooting us for 3. We're forced to block. And on their end step, we'll fire off a Bolt. Top deck a land, fire off our Amped Raptor. Oh, and they have a Subtlety, so we are dead here. We'll scoop it up and get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 3 bolts for 2 Inquisition and a Nile Spellbomb. Game 2, we're on the play, and starting hand looks fantastic. We'll lead on a Fetch Shock into a Ragavan. Opponent goes turn 1 Fetch Shock, and Galvanic discharges our Ragavan. Ooh, Wrenn and 6 off the top, huge draw. We will play that out, pick up, and pass. Opponent plays out Surveil land. We will fire off a Inquisition in a Tune of Force, Subtlety, and Wondering. We don't have any non-creature spells really that we care about. We'll get rid of the Tune. Then fetch up a Swamp, tick up, and play out our Bowmasters now before they get more information off their draw step here. Nothing from the opponent. We'll fire off a Thoughtseize. We will take, the Flage, fire off a Shadow Spear, fetch up a Forest, tip Shadow Spear to the Bowmasters, attacking with the team, then tick up our Wrenn, passing. Cast out a Celestial Purge, getting rid of our Wrenn. We draw a land for turn, fire off a Raptor. Yep, that meets the Subtlety. And we'll put this on top, play out a Verdant, and attack in with the team. Don't cast out a Tune the Narrative. We'll shoot the opponent for 1. Land from the opponent. We top deck our Amped Raptor, find another Glyph, pretty sick draw. Back in with the team. That shock by Gigantha, then play out our Theater, surveilling, and another Bowmasters is great. Opponent plays out a Wondering. We top deck our Bowmasters. We will cast out a Gigantha, play land, and pass. They draw a card. We will shoot our Gigantha, I guess. Upkeep, opponent takes 1. They activate their Wondering. We will fetch shock and fire off another Bowmasters here. Oh, and they do have a Stern Scolding. That was so good. We'll shoot them twice with the Bowmasters, and in response, they dress down, so we don't gain the life. And they scoop it up. Get on to game 3. We're gonna take out 3 Fatal Push for 2 Pick Your Poison and Haywire Might for game 3. 3. Game 3, starting hand looks great. Leads on turn 1 mountain. We draw a Spur Boots. We will fetch shock and fire off a Thoughtseize. And we'll take their Galvanic Discharge. Tap land for the opponent. We draw a land. We'll play out Forest into an Amped Raptor. And we get a Shadow Spear. Not a great pickup. Land go from the opponent. We top deck another land. We will lead on a Goyf and play out a Lava Spur Boots. Fetch shock and equip our boots to our Goyf. Go into combat, attacking in for 5. Oh, an opponent plays land into Wrath of Skies. Yeah, that's pretty good. We find a Pick Your Poison, play out our Spell Bomb, then fetch a Swamp and cast out our Goyf from the yard. Okay, opponent casts out a Wandering, draw in a card, then they play out a tapped land. We will make them sacrifice an artifact, surveil 1, then in land, we don't need another one of those, pick up our Giganta. Opponent plays out an island into another Wandering. Top deck an Inquisition, we will fire off our Giganta, which they do Subtlety, and we'll keep it on top, but we're going to shuffle it away anyways, and pass the opponent. Opponent taps their Wandering, drawing 2. Then they cast Lorn Reveal, drawing 3. In step, we will fetch shock, exile their yard, drawing a card with a spell bomb, picking up a Ragavan, not bad, and a Renin 6. Okay, we'll fire off Inquisition. Of course, they have double counterspell. Guess we just have to take the Wrath of Skies, go to dash out our Ragavan. Yep, which meets a counterspell. It's fine. Then we will play out our Ren, pick up on a land, play that out, tack in for 4. Opponent loses 2 in their upkeep, draws 3, plays out a 2 in the narrative, and cast a Galvanic Discharge, taking out our Goyf. Nothing else in step, we'll fetch. Top deck another Goyf, play that out. Yeah, they counterspell that, fine. Cast it out again. Okay, meets another counterspell. Guess we'll cast it out for the 3rd time, and then we'll minus our Ren, shooting the opponent for 1. And in step, they do discharge our Goyf. Oh, it's down to 2. They draw 4 with the One Ring. They find a Flage. That's really, really good. Take out our Renin 6. Go up to 5, then they escape Flage and shoot us for 3. We top deck a Thoughtseize. We'll fire it off, and yep, sadly, we are dead here. Yeah, and their hand was already, absurdly busted, so we will scoop it up and get on to the next match. We are on the draw, and starting hand is definitely land heavy, but I'm going to try it. It leads on turn 1 Silent Clearing into a Thoughtseize. We top deck a Shadow Spear, we'll play out our Theater Surveilling, and we will keep the Amped Raptor. One plays a Surveillant, putting a Thoughtseize in the yard. We draw a Raptor. We'll play a Saga, play out Raptor. Ooh, cast Renin 6. That is awesome. Pick up and pass. And on our end step, they push our Raptor. One plays out a Field Rune. We draw a Tarmogoyf. We'll play out our Verdant. That shock. Pick up on our Verdant and pass. And in response, they do field our Saga, so we'll make a construct. We'll pick up a mountain and then play out a Shadow Spear. One plays out a swamp into a Shieldred. We top deck another Goyf. We will take up on our Saga, play Saga, go to combat, tack in for 2, then play out our Goyf into another Goyf. One plays a swamp into a Thoughtseize. We will bolt the opponent. Then they draw a card off their clearing, gaining 2. We top deck another Goyf, play out a fetch land, fetch, picking up a forest, whip our Goyf, go to combat, tack in with our 2 Goyfs, and they do block our Tarmogoyf. Down tick Ren, kill their Shieldred, and just hold up Saga activations. An opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 3 Thoughtseize for a Terminate, now a Spell Bomb, and a Haywire Might. Game 2, we are on the draw, and starting hand's a little too weak here, so I'm all. And our 6 just needs a land, so we'll keep it and put a Ragavan to the bottom. It leads on turn 1 Swamp, evoking out of Grief. They take our Bold and then scam out of Grief, and they take one of our Raptors. We do top deck a Goyf, that's a good draw. Opponent plays a Castle, attacks in for 4. We top deck a Ren, we will attack in for 2, and they fire off a Push. They play out a Field Rune, attack in, they Field Rune our Overrun Tomb, and then fire off a Thoughtseize, taking our Ragavan. Come on, land! Still no land, unfortunately. Our attacks is 4, plays out a Necro and an Urborg, and at this point, we're going to be way too far behind, so we'll scoop it up and get on to game 3. Game 3, our hand is actually really good this time, so we'll keep it. We'll lead on turn 1 Blood Crypt into a Ragavan. When it goes turn 1 Swamp into a Grief. They take our Renin 6, then scam out the Grief. Yep, and they take our Fatal Push. Top deck a Bowmasters, good draw. We'll attack in with Rag. Ooh, exiling their Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, we will play that out for sure. And then shoot the opponent for 1. Then play out our Nether Goyf. One plays out a Marsh Flats Passing. We top deck a Amped Raptor. We will play that out. And we do hit a Renin 6. Play that out, tick up, pass the opponent. One plays out a Castle into a Path of Peril, obliterating our board, and takes out our Ren. And we top deck a Ragavan. I think we're just going to hold a Bowmasters here, though. Attacks in for 4, plays out a Castle Lockman, and they have a Shieldred. Alright, so end step, fire off our Bowmasters, shoot the opponent. Top deck a Verdant. We'll play out a Ragavan, play land, fetch, pick up a Swamp, and play out our Goyf. Opponent plays out a Dothy into a Spell Bomb. Top deck a Push, pretty good draw. We'll go to combat with our Goyf, attack in for 5. They pop their Spell Bomb. Ooh, and we do get a Bowmasters trigger, so we'll shoot their Shieldred, and they take 5. Our attacks in with the team, we will double block the Grief, chump the Shieldred, and just take the Dothy hit. And then in step, we will push their Shieldred. And in response, they push our Tarmogoyf and Takenuma as well. Picking up a Bowmasters. And yeah, at this point, I don't know what we can draw. Maybe like an Amptraptor. Fatal Push keeps us alive for a little bit longer, so we'll push the Dothy. I'm gonna place out their Bowmasters. Top deck a Saga, not a terrible draw. Play that out, pick up Giganta. I'm gonna place out a One Ring. Oh my gosh. We're so dead. They draw a card, and they Soul Spike us. Alright, end up going 3-2. So we ended up going 3-2, which is a pretty good record, especially for JUND in this format. Like, 3-2s are what you want to be living on. Overall, I don't think I have really any complaints about this deck. We didn't draw enough Urza Sagas, I don't think, this entire league. Renin 6 still feels a little awkward in this deck because of the color restrictions and like constraints, especially when you want to like go turn 2 Saga and whatnot. But overall, I definitely do like this list. I think JUND's in a pretty good spot. Amped Raptor is insanely powerful in this deck, and this is like another really good Nether Dwarf deck. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.